Okay, so, the Wesen. I like how they, in this mythology they've created, they've kept the Wesen very, realistic, you know? They've based them all off of, creatures you find in nature. They don't give any single one of these Wesen creatures too much power. The Daemon Furies, they don't exactly breathe fire. It's this very difficult process they have to go through to do it. The Hexen Beasts don't just use magic, it's this process that they have to go through. It's a chemical process. It's not just magic, all the creatures aren't much stronger than the other ones. Like, there's always something there that can stop them, which is something I like. Sometimes in these fantasy shows, what they do is they create creatures that are just way too powerful. They're just unrealistic, and they always have to come up with something just insane out of their asses to defeat these things. And they keep it very, easy to comprehend, They make it seem like, well, yeah, this makes sense. It's believable. Which I like a lot. For the next season, though, I would prefer it if they didn't just keep adding new Wesen. Because, they have a lot that have been in the background that we haven't seen as much of, like the snakes and the, I can't think of them. But they have a good slew of them that they introduced in the first season that, haven't been explained as well as others. And, it would be good to expand on those creatures rather than just keep introducing new ones. I know they're going to have to introduce some new ones, but I'd prefer it if they just kind of stuck with what they got and expanded rather than create new ones altogether. But again, this is something that they're going to have to do, and I hope they don't go insane like most shows with their type of deal do. They just go out of nowhere, They're always trying to outdo themselves, and I don't think they should do that. There's a whole psychological thing they could do with this that they haven't done as much of, which they should. But yeah, their mythology is really good. They keep things rather clean and precise, and I know some people have been bitching about the German that they use, but come on. At least they're trying. And then, it's even better, is that, the creatures that were not in Germany precisely don't have German names. Like, the Spinetods, they were from Japan, so they've got these, Japanese names. And the bat things, they were from, Spain or Mexico or something, and they have a Spanish name. So it's nice what they've done here, and I love looking at the books. They look so old, and they look like someone has been scrawling these for centuries. The episode formats. I'm gonna say I love how they start the episodes with just this little clip, and then they start the episodes with the little blurb about a little quote from some story. And it's always fun to try and guess which story it's from, what it has to do to pertain to this episode. It's really fun to go and say, like, oh, I know that one, Or then to go on Wikipedia the next day, which I always do, and try to find out where it was from. It's very interesting. And I'm pretty sure they're all pretty much taken from fairy tales. There's one or two that have not. And, yeah, it's probably because they couldn't find something that would make this creature seem scary. But yeah, I love that. And while it has, it has a standard kind of cop show format, which I like. For some reason I always like Law and Order and those sort of shows. For some weird reason, But they show, the act someone either coming up to the body or the act of the body being killed. And then, they got the title card, and then they've got, coming onto the scene. And I like that a lot. It fits, and they kind of throw the fairy tales in there in a good way, I don't think there's been an episode yet, though, where Nick is on a case that doesn't involve a Wesen. And, I'd like to see an episode where it doesn't. And Wesen just kind of shows up. They're not really, like, the perpetrator or something. Do you know what I mean? It's just, like, an episode where the Wesen isn't the bad guy. But, yeah. This show, though, one of my few complaints about the show. I actually really like this show a lot. I hope it keeps going for a while. But every now and again, they give these loose ends that don't seem like they'll ever be explained. Like in the Rapunzel episode, you have this drug dealer's brothers who was killed by Holly looking for the murderer, and they go and they get this guy and they just torture him in their basement, and then he's just, he's left there. And we don't know if he's dead or alive. I'm trying to remember other ones. One weird thing I do remember was in the second episode, the bears will be bears. The bears, the kid's mom, who was kind of egging him on to do this thing with these kids, she changes, and she's a giant bear. She jumps into the pit, and it's a bear, and then she transforms. I don't know, maybe it's just that's how the full body transformation goes, but it did not look like a human-animal hybrid. It looked like they got a bear to jump in a pit. So, I don't know if that's like, the most extreme transformation or what. But this is, again, something that is Wesen mythology that they're going to have to elaborate on. I'm trying to remember other things. Jesus. But, they're little things. They're not as big things like in Once Upon a Time. But, there's these little things that, bug me on a personal level. Again, with the Nick's mom thing. They said in like, the first episode that, like, each family has, like, one Grimm. Like, you can only see them after someone in your family has died. So, up until a certain point, you're just in preparation as a Grimm. And then someone dies, and then you become a Grimm. So, is it like his mom's side of the family, both of their parents were Grimms, and therefore, when one died, one of the sisters got it, and then when the other died, the other sister got it? Or what is that? That is, again, something that really ought to be explained in more detail, the entire Grimm thing, and alongside the Wesen thing. So, yeah. This series has a lot of potential, and I hope that it gets, renewed for another season. But what I don't want is for it to become like every other series, like Buffy, where things just got. It started out as a very easy to understand show. She's the Slayer. There's only one, and she has to kill all these vampires and demons and werewolves and whatever. And then what happens? She dies. Oh, okay, so there's another Slayer now, and, instead of just following this new person, they go and they bring Buffy back. But now they've got two Slayers. But that Slayer dies, so now they've got another new Slayer. So now they've got two Slayers now. And then, then Buffy goes in, like, this last season, awakens all these Slayers and fucks everything up. It loses its simplicity. It loses that thing that made it easier to understand, like with charm. You know, it started very easy, and then it just went like, you know, the same thing with Xena. It started out as a good show, and then they just like, I want to say like the final seasons, they just were like, I don't know what to do with the show anymore. I don't know, do you have any ideas? Let's do an episode where they're like, it's a reality interview. Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. That's awesome. You know, I'm hoping that it doesn't go on so long that they end up ruining the show. You know, shows have this tendency to go on to the point where you, the fan, who has been watching from episode 1, who has loved the show, becomes just like, oh my god, what have they done to you? You know? So yeah. So that's my season review of Grimm. You know, I love this show. I hope that it stays on, and I hope that they don't fuck themselves over. Okay. So, please comment, and if you have any questions for me personally, I usually answer. Alright, bye-bye.